Welcome to the Sharpe Way. We have another amazing evening for you today. Yes, back again. It is Bernie time. I know for some of you libertarians, it drives you crazy when I bring this up, but I just want you to know that it does matter. There are literally millions of Bernie supporters out there who have no place to go, and you think as a libertarian, oh my God, they're all socialists, and they're not. There are many people who simply want something different. They want what they want. And if we can show them that they can get what they want without socialism, without force, many of them will come to us. And I believe we can. I've done this literally 2 times already. 2 weeks ago, one last week, and one more this week, because there's a lot of stuff the Bernie supporters want, lots of it. I'm trying to go right down Bernie's page and pick off every single thing they want and show how you can get it. Maybe not perfectly the way you want it, but pretty close to make you happy and to make you want to come to us and not go to Sleepy Biden, who's not going to give you what you want, who is as establishment as they come, but instead to think about coming our way. And we can get you some of the things you want without that force, without that socialism. You can join us. We do have some really good plans. All right. Remember, please, guys, like, comment, share. I know I push this every single time because it matters every single time. Like, comment, share. How else are we going to build our media if we don't do this, right? So let your friends know I'm on. Particularly if you have friends who are former Bernie supporters or still love Bernie, but they're making some deal right now in the Democratic Party on who keeps delegates and who doesn't. Bring them here, right? Even if they're not Bernie supporters, Democrats. You've got some Democrats who don't like Biden or are worried or concerned. I have some answers for them. If they're prepared to listen, let them listen. I mean, they actually might get it. Even if not, it'll help you figure out how to talk to them. So it's good either way. Again, as always, like us on Facebook, The Sharpe Way, not just Larry Sharpe, The Sharpe Way, The Sharpe Way YouTube. Please subscribe. It matters. And The Sharpe Way on Twitter. Please click that. It matters. Again, it's how we grow. If you've got some cash, that's awesome. If you're in a good spot, head over to patreon.com/sharpeway. Throw me 10, 20, 30 bucks, whatever you got. Helps me keep this going. If you're not in that position, no worries. Just like, comment, and share. It's free. Not too bad at all. So, yes. There we go. Drew, thank you. You applied the cream. Got rid of the burn. I like that. But as long as you're coming to us, then I guess I'm good. And yes, you can like them all. I would prefer that if you would, Joe. All right. I want to cover something this is kind of an odd one, but this is very much an issue that a certain segment of our population really cares about tremendously. It's a small niche, but it's a niche that really matters and votes and cares. And that is the idea of MSIs. And some of you may not know what an MSI is, and that's the issue. We should know what it is. Those are minority-serving institutions. Things like historically black colleges, Hispanic, traditionally Hispanic-serving community institutions, things like that, right? Those types of institutions. Since about the 60s, I don't remember exactly when it was, but the Civil Rights Act of 65. So in that area, these institutions were recognized by the government as specialized institutions. Historically black colleges, etc. For a sliver of our population, they care tremendously about these and they want them to survive and thrive. As do I. I hope many people do. I would like them to survive and thrive also. The problem is most of them, not all, some of them are public, but most of them are private nonprofits. That's what most of them are. So how do they receive their money? Many of them actually get their cash from the government. Many do. Not all, but many do. Grants and things of that sort, right? But other thing they do, of course, is people take out loans. One of the most popular ones recently, I'm pretty sure it was last year, a guy named Robert Smith, you might remember this story, came to Morehouse, and Morehouse is one of those colleges, what a college for, it's a historically black college. I think Morehouse is a college. Yes, Howard is a university, Morehouse is a college, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Morehouse is a college. So when he goes to Morehouse, he gets an honorary doctorate, and for his honorary doctorate, what does he give in return? He paid $40 million. This guy's a billionaire, so that he could pay off all the student debt for all the students that year. Crazy. Oh my God. Crazy that he would, amazing he would do, but crazy. Hi, I'm a billionaire and you gave me this degree, so here's $40 million. Crazy. But again, the money didn't go to the school, the money went to pay off school debt. Why am I telling you all these things? Because these institutions are important. They are. And for many people, they aren't. Most of America doesn't even know what they are. But for a part of America, it really matters because these were the institutions, not all of them, some of them are newer. But many of these institutions were institutions that when there was segregation, when there was blatant racism against minorities and people of color going to college to get educated, these were the schools that stepped up and did the right thing. And they were the only place where people of color could get any kind of education. These are big deals, right? They're big deals. So I do want them to survive. But here's what I want. Two things. I don't want government to be the one propping them up. The Bernie people say, yes, government should. Well, here are the two problems. Number one, if government props it up, what happens when government runs out of money, which we're finding with COVID right now? All of a sudden, they're in trouble, like my MTA in New York City, et cetera, et cetera. They all become in trouble. I don't want that to be an issue at all. What I want is two things. One, people to know what they are and where they are. I want that. Right now, that's not happening. I would bet that at least half of the people watching right now had no idea what an MSI is. Didn't even know what it was. Right? No idea. Like MSI, what's that? No idea. You should know what it is. You should know that it exists. That's piece number one. But number two, we have to be focusing, and it may sound crazy, but on corporate sponsorship. Yes, they're nonprofits. Let's focus on sponsorship. If they shine a light on this, should the government be shining a light on a historically Black university? Should the government be shining a light on any MSI? Yes. And you may say, why? Why does the government shine a light on that? Because literally for hundreds of years, the government sponsored segregation. The government sponsored slavery. The government sponsored it. The least they can do is now shine a light on these institutions and get the public, the private sector to step up and help out. And they should. And that actually is the answer. And this guy, Robert Smith, is the perfect example of that. He realized his own emotional value of doing it. Number one, being a person of color. I remembered it, being a person of color. And I bet a bunch of you, once I told you that story, whether you listening and watching are a person of color or not, I bet many of you went, oh, that's right. That guy paid off all their school debts. Yes, absolutely. You thought that. Yes, absolutely. That came to mind. This is our key. Shining a light on previous errors that the government has made is the first step to repairing them. Covering them up or going, that was 100 years ago. That's not going to cover these. That's not going to make things better. That's going to make things worse. Let's acknowledge, shine a light, assist them with corporate sponsorship, maybe even giving certain corporate sponsorships for a certain period of time, 5 years, 10 years, whatever that time is, giving the corporation some benefit to supporting these colleges, supporting these institutions. Give them some benefit short term to make up, to ramp it up, and then walk away. We do this, we can actually do several things. Number one, many of these institutions are seen by others outside of them as almost second tier or second class. That's horrible. They should not be seen that way. And in many cases, they are, because that affects how you hire people, where you get them from, what a resume says to you, right? That kind of thing. We're going to end that. Because anytime you create another tier, you create second-class citizenry, right? When you create many protected classes, you create second-class citizenry. So we want to get rid of that. And the second thing is you want to set them up for success forever, right? Not just as government can give, but forever. And I think this will. People should know about it. They should jump on board. And I believe, particularly as our country becomes browner, just as it does, I think these organizations will gain more support and will be stronger. And again, I don't just want the colleges to be good because they're MSIs or any of these institutions. They should be good because they're good, because it's a good education. It's what you want. That's a critical piece. But that's just one piece of what people talk about when it comes to MSIs. I do want to bring that up real fast. Yes, John, learn no clue. I learned something new today. Yes, see, you can learn good stuff watching Sharpe Way. Absolutely you can. And I'm glad you now know about it, because if you know about it, if you actually know about it, you might care. You might tell your boss, hey, we should support one of those schools or institutions. You might do that. You might allow, as you said, also You might want to recruit from some of those schools. Absolutely. Why not? So I think that really is a good idea, right? So I think it's important. All right. Hold on. Well, this idea is a tax deduction for the billionaires who pay for the education of students. Yeah, maybe that's it. Sure. I mean, actually, they are nonprofits. So that kind of is already. Not all of them is true. Not all of those institutions are nonprofits. Those that are, that would occur naturally. But if they didn't, you're right. That would be a good thing to do, right? Absolutely. So thank you for that. All right. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that very much. I want to move to a next piece, which is similar, but not exactly the same. Bernie people are concerned about MSIs, and they're also concerned about racial justice. It's a big, big deal when it comes to many Bernie supporters. It's a very big deal. I hope racial justice is important for everybody, but it's very important for them specifically. What I want to make sure we don't confuse, and our justice system has done this. Our justice system has confused the word justice with punishment. I don't want racial punishment, meaning one race punishes another. That's what I don't want. Do I want racial justice? Yes. I look at justice as fairness. I want racial fairness. Of course I do. I hope all of you do. I know some of you probably don't, but I hope all of you do. Without question, you want racial fairness. So how in the world can we even begin to fix that or repair that? Number one piece, and I've said it before in a previous Bernie one, but I'll bring it up again. Number one, end the war on drugs. The war on drugs has done more damage to Black and brown communities than anything else the government has done since apartheid. That's it. Once apartheid ended in the 60s, the biggest problem was the war on drugs. Horrible, horrible, horrible. We have to end it. It put Black and brown families, broke them up from the 80s on. Worst one. War on poverty also hurt, but war on drugs, worse. Absolute worst. It was the worst thing. So end the war on drugs immediately. That's the first thing you can do. That is by no means the only thing. That's the first step. If we end the war on drugs, it allows at least the brown and Black families that have been affected by that to have a chance at getting back to someplace. Just a chance at getting back. Right now, there's no chance. And on top of that, right, if we take all those people who had any non-violent criminal charges that came from the war on drugs and expunge all of their records for any non-violent stuff they've done. No, that in my view and many of your view, no crime, no victim, no crime. Done. We do that, and all of a sudden now they've got a chance. Okay, that's step one. And the first step of that, of all those things, first step of that is taking cannabis off of Schedule 1. That's the first step of the first step. Begin with that and start walking back everything. Slowly, slowly walk it all back. Walk it all back. And before you know it, war on drugs is over. It's not enough. Right? Not enough. People talk about, well, what about reparations for all the bad things the government has done? True. And we've given reparations before. Japanese internment camps. The Germans that, if I remember, were still paying, I think are still paying the Jews from the Holocaust. Some of the survivors maybe are still, they've been paying for many years. They may still be paying. So all those things are possible. We've done it before. The issue here with paying reparations, it's a whole lot harder for two reasons. One, the actual people who committed the biggest crimes are dead. The actual people who felt the biggest piece of the crime are dead. Now, the ancestors of the people who did, how can they be guilty? Are they taking benefit from it? Yes. But how are they guilty? Hard. The ancestors of those who've been hurt, are they still hurt? Yes, absolutely. Still, right? It still exists. It's a problem we have to deal with. People say, but Larry, do you feel that? Yes. The Sharpe Way. My name's Sharpe. Some of you may or may not know this. That's not a family name. I'm Black on my father's side. That's the name of people who owned me and owned my family. Not me personally, but my ancestors. It's my slave name, right? Why do you think Malcolm X went Malcolm X? He accepted Malcolm because his mother gave him Malcolm. That was his name. His mother gave him Malcolm. But his name, I believe, was Little, Malcolm Little. He said, Little, that's my slave name. And he got rid of it. He said he would never know his name. X is a variable that is unknown. Therefore, he was Malcolm X. I retain my name. It still is my culture. I retain it. But it's not my name, right? I'm Black on my father's side. That's somebody from Europe owned people of my family, and that's the name we got as we went down. Many people don't understand that that's the kind of thing that stays with us forever, right? If you look at, and this is an understanding that many people of color often understand this. People not of color don't always get this, right? The idea we have here also is you look at where a homeland is, right? Right now, the African American is the only group of people who do not have a homeland. There's no homeland, right? There's no place to go to. If you're Irish descent, Italian descent, there's Ireland, there's Italy, right? If you come from Asia, there's Japan, there's China, you have a place where your family came from. Native American, it's here, right? Your tribal lands or whatever are here. If you're African American, it's Africa. What country, what tribe, what area? Luckily, because of DNA, we can find out, and I happen to know where my ancestors come from Africa, so I happen to know that because I went through all the DNA stuff. But if you don't go through it, how would you even know where they come from? These are things that we deal with for a long time. And on top of that, the biggest piece, which is the most important piece, it is the legacy of not being able to have ownership to pass wealth down to every single generation, right? Sadly, we're losing that now with our rental society and our constant boom and bubble economies. But at least in the past, if you had something, you handed it down. You gained wealth, your family gained wealth, and you handed that wealth down. The Black families have had trouble doing that, particularly. Others too, Hispanic also, but Black more than others because we haven't had the ownership mindset, and we have legally been, stopped from ownership or partnerships and things of that sort. So how do you get past all of that? Is it a check that you give? And a lot of people want to give a check. I am not for a check. I think a check is a bad idea. Why do I think that? Because I look at the lottery. I'm not joking. I look at the lottery. A lottery right now, if you have a lottery and someone wins a lottery, over 50% of the people who win the lottery are worse off 5 years later. Worse off. Lottery was bad for them. Worse off, right? Terrible, right? So giving checks, bad idea. Not just that. Look at what happens when people just get checks in general, right? Have you seen the TV commercials? You're getting a check every month or whatever. I'll take your check for cash. You hear all the time. People taking advantage of. Here's what I'd rather do. I'd rather, in any form of reparations that will be dealt with, I'd rather have a form that takes the form of encouraging ownership in the Black community. That is the way I want. Taking ownership in the Black community. What does that mean? If you are a descendant of slaves, as I am, if you're a descendant of slaves, you should have some benefit, some bonus, some awesome thing in becoming an owner of either land, some forms of property, businesses, some benefit for a certain period of time. Not forever, because if you do it forever, you create a protected class, and you create a second-class citizen. I don't want people of color to become second-class citizens, which in many cases they are, depending upon where you go, they actually can be. Instead, I want to have an environment where ownership is passed on. Now, all of a sudden, what happens? One, I'm not stopping someone who is not a descendant of slaves from doing something. In fact, I'm encouraging them to bring me aboard. I'm encouraging them to bring me aboard. I'm encouraging without mandating desegregation. I'm encouraging us to integrate. Because if you bring this other person in, guess what? The other person comes in, and now they're together, working together. I learn things I wouldn't learn. I get taught things I wouldn't be taught. Insert thing here, it keeps moving. The good old boys club, as they call it, becomes a mixed club, which is what I want it to become. We do that, and we can change things. This is what I believe racial fairness is all about. Giving the people who are descendants of slaves, maybe a generation, I'm making this up, 20 years, some way of saying, here's a generation of benefit so that you can now begin to pass on that value. Now, some people will take that, they'll join something and they will dump it and be poor. Some people will, and some will jump on board and become great from it. And when they get great, they will help other people, not just people of color. They will help all Americans and hopefully all humans. They will help everybody. That's the goal. I want everyone to grow. I just want a small chunk to say, look, government, you screwed us for years. Here's some way. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to make it up. And now we're okay. I also wanted to end at one point because I want at one point for us to go, we're good. I want a point where we can look at each other and go, are we good? We're good now. I think that entire piece has to get together and work to make that work. So that's my concept of racial fairness, both when it comes to MSIs and the idea of keeping dealing with the past evils of our government. All right. Let me grab a couple of these if I could. Part of my family is from Prussia. There is no more Prussia. Yes, there is. It's called Germany. Germany is what the Prussian Empire became, Shelley. I love you. I'm German. Right? I'm German too. Right? I'm Deutsche. I am also just like you. My mother came from that same area. So I'm partial to that. So while there is no Prussia, there is Germany, which is the descendant of Prussia. And most of Prussia now is in Poland now. So you still can go back to your homeland if you want to. You know where you can go. If the city now is in Poland, you can still go there if you want to. So, yes, I like abolishing the death tax. It's not a bad idea, right? So, yes. Kanye West talked about the idea of going out and buying land. I think it's not a bad idea, right? That, by the way, I love the concept. That was the reason. Some of you may not know this, but originally there was an idea of giving former slaves 40 acres and a mule and calling it even. That was not a bad plan because that plan was supposed to be you would take it from the wealthy white landowners who owned slaves. This was supposed to happen in the 1860s, right? And those are the people who literally took advantage of the slave labor. The poor whites, while they had an advantage, they weren't engaging in slavery, right? The poor whites weren't. But the wealthy whites were. So the wealthy whites would lose parts of their land, reparations, given to those slaves so that they could then, do what they wanted with that land. That was the idea. Not a bad idea, right? As far as, boom, we do that, call it quits. You've been working the land as slaves for decades. Here's 40 acres. Here's a mule. Go ahead. Some slaves would have, sold the land. Some would have worked the land. Some would have hired poor whites to work with them. Some would have, whatever. Some would have sold it and moved. All of those things would have been an ability to actually be able to pass that down to other people. And that's what I'm trying to say. I want people to be able to pass that down. Yes. So anyway, I hope that was clear in that idea. And then I want to move to the next piece if I could. And this is the idea of, they talk often about this, taxing the wealthy or taxing, dealing with the income gap and taxing the wealthy. It's a big deal, again, for Bernie bros. Matters a lot for the Bernie people. It's a big deal. Yeah, I think they might have promised in that too. And they should be helping people out, right? I mean, this is, I guess. So anyway, let me keep going if I could. John, what are your thoughts on Amash? For the record, I don't want to be in a party with different. Okay. Look, to be forward, I brought about this a little bit off topic. I talked about Amash earlier today. I am happy with anybody who has press coming into the party. You got press coming to the party. We are a BYOP party. Bring your own press. You got press, come on in. And he has brought press. I'm good. More people. My social media is growing. I hope your social media is growing. Everything's growing. Life is good. No worries. If he wins, he wins. Loses, he loses. This is on us to decide. I'm happy he's in. More can come in. There was a rumor that Mark Cuban might come in. Come on in. I love it. 100%. Mark Cuban, bring your press. Come on in. If Tulsi Gabbard wants to come in, come on in. I'll take all of them. Bring your own press, and then we decide. We should be able to take advantage of that press. That's my view. So, all righty. Yes, I think we should have pride in ownership. Absolutely. 100%. All right. How do you convince them of the flaw of the immorality of wealth? There is a difference, Lyndon. It's a good question, right? Being wealthy is bad in many people's eyes if they believe that you are greedy, right? And there is an absolute double standard here. This isn't logical. I'm going to be clear. And what I'm saying is not, it's emotional, right? If I think you're one of the good ones, I don't mind if you're wealthy. If I think you're one of the bad ones, then I care if you're wealthy. So if we take the idea that more people will be doing better things with wealth and encourage them, as I mentioned earlier, to support an MSI, that guy's a good guy, right? The guy who paid $40 million, Robert Smith, to pay off all those student debts, who's going to say he's a bad guy? I don't know him personally. Maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he's a bad guy. I don't know. But people are going to say, yeah, great. This guy paid off the student loans. He's amazing. In that case, there's really no immorality of wealth, right? People are going to judge you by what you do with your wealth. A lot of people thought Bill Gates was the greatest guy in the world when they started Robinhood. He's giving stuff away. Now he's doing vaccines. So he didn't get poorer or richer in anyone's eyes. I mean, I'm sure his wealth goes up or down, but no one's paying attention to exactly how much he's doing. So I think it really is how people see it, right? I think how people see it. All right, let me move on, if I could, to the idea of people paying their fair share. If you really want the wealthy and everybody to pay their fair share of taxes, whatever that fair share is, it's a very simple but not easy plan. Simple theory, hard to do. The first one, and that piece is, you got to flatten the tax. I know some libertarians go, oh my God, you can't flatten the tax because then you're valid in income tax. Income tax is not going away. Just not. Not now. Not with all this debt. When I was running for governor of New York, you heard me. My plan was literally get rid of the income tax. That was my goal. Get rid of income tax. And that before COVID, when New York State had a $400 billion debt and only I think it was $4 to $5 billion deficit. That's all. At that point, it was a 4-year plan. 4-year plan to eliminate the income tax. 4 years. Now, oh my God, we've got even more debt. It's not going to happen. It's a I might as well say that I'm going to make a unicorn ride a leprechaun. Same chance, same odds, not going to happen. So what can I do? Well, what we can do immediately is just go to a flatter tax. I like the idea of having no, and when I say no loopholes. Zero. We don't say we're going to close a couple of loopholes. That's garbage. That's I'm not going to do anything. I'm saying instead, none. Zero. I don't care what you do with your money. None. Zero. So, for example, I'm making this number up. For the first $30,000 you make, no tax. After $30,000 you spend, you pay 10% tax, whatever that number is. That's it. Up until a certain amount, maybe you pay some more, maybe not. Maybe just 10 period forever. That's it. Done. Nothing else. Nothing else. They might say, well, Larry, what do you mean everyone pays the same percentage? It's not my fair share. The rich have to pay more. Well, if you actually do your homework, you look at how much money the rich actually make, they actually pay less as a percentage than the people who are middle class. Why? They know all the tax holes, the loopholes, all those things. They know all of those things. So by default, they pay less tax. Percentage, right? Dollars, of course, the wealthy pay more dollars, obviously, right? Of course. But by percentage, they actually pay less by percentage, right? Warren Buffett teased about that, right? He pays less in percentage than his secretary does. I'm not sure if that's true, but I assume it is because people probably would have debunked it years ago, I assume, if it was true. He said it several years ago. So if you get that piece, first flatten it. Because then if you simply flatten it, now we can tell if they're raising our taxes or not. Was it 10%? And now it's 11%. Okay, they raised their taxes. 10%, now it's 9%. Will they lower their taxes? Got it. Or they raised the price. It was $30,000 minimum, now it's $35,000. Okay, they raised it or lowered it, whatever. We can see it happen a whole lot easier, and we can ensure they actually pay the tax. Everyone pays the same amount. That by default is a fair share. Do I like income tax? No, of course I don't. Would I want to get rid of it? Of course I would. You know how much debt we're going to have? You have people asking for more taxes. You have almost every candidate who's running talking about some way of just putting more money into people's pockets. Why? So we can tax it right back. That's the thing, right? That's where we are now. I wish we weren't there. It's where we are. So I can't stand that concept, right? So, Chris, forgive debt. You know what? My plan for this COVID piece was actually all about that. The problem is we've gone so far down this rabbit hole, we can't do that anymore. The simplest thing to do, and I mentioned this months ago, the simplest thing to do when this virus hit, when things began to crash, was to simply say, banks, you can't collect for 3 months or 6 months or whatever the number is. Don't collect. Banks, you can't collect. Do not collect for 3 months, 6 months, whatever the number is. The banks don't collect. You don't have to pay your bills for 3 months, whatever the case may be. You can survive. You can survive for 3 months. Figure out what the heck's going on in your life. Deal with things. Fix things. Then we just bail the banks out. Why? Because we always bail banks out. It's what we do. We always bail banks out, or the Fed just prints money. I know I'm driving you libertarians crazy. I know it's driving you crazy, but it's the way it is. Constantly, we keep doing it. Keep doing it. Ryan, I actually like your idea of no income tax and tax on consumption instead. I actually do like your idea. The question is, with our current tax base, our consumption tax would be insane right now. We've got to readjust all of our taxes. And worse, readjust all of our spending. Do that. I'm with you. I'm with you. Absolutely. But here's the best part about a flatter tax. Here's the best part about it. Well, that's all good. It moves into another piece, which is freer and fairer elections. How do we get freer and fairer elections? How do we do that? One of them is by having flatter taxes, right? Having flatter taxes. If we have flatter taxes with no loopholes, what happens with the lobbyists? What are most of the lobbyists trying to get? Some change in the tax code. So a huge chunk of lobbyists go away. Not all, obviously, but a huge chunk go away because we can't have these loopholes. They don't exist anymore. So once that happens, all the lobbyists who are trying to get shifts and adjustments to their specific tax, those all go away. We do that, we've just got a whole lot of lobbyists gone. Not all, again, not all will go away, but a whole lot will take off immediately. But I'm still not done. All right. Let me keep going here. Look, these are all good. I love the ideas you're coming up with. I love these ideas. Yeah. I love these ideas we're talking about. It's great. All the ideas we're coming up with, right? Yes. He can have his student loans forgiven. Shelly, you don't have student loans. That's amazing. You can have the loans you don't have forgiven. That's amazing. So my point here being, right, if we're able to do that, the second piece is, sadly, the Supreme Court has decided that corporations are people. Corporations aren't people. I don't know how a group of 9 people can sit in the room and go, you know what? Know what people are? Corporations. If corporations are people, if they are, they're not. But if they were, I know legally they are, but in reality they aren't. The law can say that ketchup is a fruit. It's not a fruit. They can say ketchup's a vegetable. It's not a vegetable. It's ketchup. It's not a vegetable. So they're actually not, absolutely, they're not people. But if they were people, shouldn't they vote? If they're people, you can't subpoena anything from a business. That's Fifth Amendment. It's a Fifth Amendment right to silence. If you're a lawyer, you know that's not true. Businesses don't get protection on the Fifth Amendment. They don't. If they're people, why don't they? Why can't they vote? Why doesn't every corporation get a separate vote? Corporations in Delaware should vote in Delaware, shouldn't it? It's a person. This is stupid. Corporations are entities. They're not people, should never be people. And here's the problem. You might not care about that. Here's the reason why. Once entities, corporations are people, now we create PACs and super PACs. And now all the money is hidden. Now all the money is hidden. So we don't know who's actually doing these things. It's the people for the ethical treatment of everybody. It's those people. and they do a horrible campaign that embarrasses everybody. This is the wrong answer. We get rid of the concept that corporations are people and simply say, no, they're not. They are clearly not. There is no question. You can't say a dog is a cat. It's not a cat. It's a dog. Done. They're not people. If they're not people, that means they can't vote, which means their dollars are not political speech. Period. They're not. You do that, PACs go away. You do that, all that goes away. What does that mean? Here's what you do. You simplify everything. You simply say, if you want to give money to a candidate, you may. Absolutely. Just not as an organization, as an individual. But Larry, you want to get together and jointly give money to somebody. You can. Absolutely. You have a joint organization, whatever that is, and boom, you list all the names. Every single name in that organization together can give a bunch of money if they want to. Of course they can. No worries, you can. But each person gives money. Money is speech because I can buy things. Of course it is. But if the individual has it, now it's transparent, because that's the last piece, full transparency. I should be able to go on any candidate's website and know exactly who gave what to that person. But Larry, it's my money. It is your money. And if you want to put it into a public arena like politics, I get to see. If you don't want me to see that, don't give your money. Buy something else. I don't get to see it. That's simple. So if you want to give me $1 million, please give me $1 million. If you want to give me $1 million, you can, but your name is right there. I, Joe, gave Larry Sharpe $1 million. Everybody sees it. Your competitors see it. And they can look and go, see, this guy's bought and sold by Joe. Maybe I am. And now the voters can decide, you know what? Do I want to vote for a guy who's bought and sold by Joe? Maybe, and maybe not. But now they know and they can decide. Yes, unions also give money, and they shouldn't. Absolutely not. They should not be doing that, right? Unions shouldn't. And here's the worst part. Now it's mandated you have to give money to the union, and then the union gives money to somebody who you wouldn't give money to. What is that about? You should give your money to people who you want to give your money. That's it. That's a problem, right? That's a problem. All right. I hope that was clearer in what I was saying for that piece when it comes to that's the way you get money out of politics. And we want more regulations. We have the most regulations we've ever had in politics. The most when it comes to campaign finance. And more money than ever is in it. It is exactly the opposite. Instead, simplify, transparency. You have freer and fairer elections without question. But let me keep going. But Larry, shouldn't we just have public funding? And that is a big piece of the Bernie bros, right? A big piece of the Bernie supporters is, I shouldn't call them Bernie bros anymore. I should call them Bernie supporters. I'm sorry. I apologize if that's Bernie supporters. A big piece of Bernie supporters is government-funded elections, taxpayer-funded elections. That sounds amazing. It does sound fair, right? Everybody running gets X dollars. That's all they can spend. That sounds fair. I agree. That really sounds great. It's not. And the reason why it's not is the second the state or the county or the whatever has to start paying, the second that happens, they're going to limit ballot access. We see it already in New York State. That's our proposal, right? The state will pay for everything, but now we're going to limit ballot access because it's a whole lot more expensive to pay for 4 parties on a ballot than to pay for 2. So we're going to make sure there's only 2 parties on the ballot. So you actually want the Green Party, if you're a Bernie supporter, or you're like me, you want Libertarian Party, or you want Constitution Party, Working Families Party, Women's Rights Party, gone. Gone. Every one of them, gone. Why? Because the state has to pay for it. If the state's got to pay for it, they're going to make 2 only and prefer, if it's gerrymandered, why are you running? Just let the one guy run. We write him a check and move on. It's cheaper. You're actually encouraging the state to limit competition. You are encouraging the state to ensure that there is absolutely no competition whatsoever, 2 parties or 1 party. You're also letting the state decide how much money makes a lot of sense. They decide. Terrible idea. I know it feels good. It sounds fair. It's a bad idea. So what you're basically doing is you are allowing the incumbent to tax you so he or she can run. Is that really what you want? An incumbent to tax you so he or she can run. Terrible idea. If we want freer and fair elections, the answer is transparency. Companies are not people, and obviously no state-funded elections. That will make things better. Now, I know the people are all about IDs and you can't vote through mail and stuff like that. These are all bad ideas, meaning that we can't do it. You should be able to vote by mail, right? And I don't mind you having NID. I don't mind that concept. But what you have to realize here, and many people don't get this, literally for decades, states use things like tests and IDs and things of that sort to keep people of color from voting. That was factual. It happened for decades, state-sponsored for decades. That's a cultural issue that minority communities are going to feel. I know if you're not a minority, you may not feel that. If you are a minority, you're going to feel that. It's going to feel like, oh my God, here we go again. That's how it's going to feel. So if we deal with that issue, if we do, we can. It's got to be done in a way that says it doesn't matter about anything about the past or color or easy to get, or there's got to be a way to make, if we want to go down that route, there has to be respect to that cultural pain, or you're going to have backlash. You should also allow people to vote via mail. Voting. Are you telling me there's no way you can verify that we can't have a situation we can verify votes via mail, whether they're hand counted or not? Typed into an Excel spreadsheet or not? Of course, there's a way we can do it. Will it be harder? Yeah, but it can be done. We do this adjusting the tax code, as I said, so that we have less money in politics, less lobbyists, make everything better. We can have freer and better elections. All right. I also do want, I'm going to make sure I'm covering all of these ideas. There's another one I want to bring up here if I can. That is things like high-speed internet and rural areas in America. There's another piece that they bring up. I know I'm being kind of odd in what I'm talking about, but I'm serious when I tell people who are Bernie bros that I got you. You come to me as a Bernie supporter, I will get you a lot of what you want. I absolutely will. It won't be with socialism. It won't be with force. It may not be as fast as you want, but man, I'm going to get you close, and we can do it without any of the bad parts, without extra taxes, none of that. We can get it. This is the third show in a row. I'm covering all those things. I'm also, I hope, showing people who aren't Bernie supporters how you can talk to Bernie supporters, right? How you can talk, right? Here we go. That he has to be free. Yeah, look, we do it in New York City, right? A lot of people don't realize that. We do it in New York City. How do we do that? This would drive some of you insane, but New York is a sanctuary city. New York City is a sanctuary city. So you don't have to be a documented worker or even a citizen or green card holder to get an ID in New York City. You can literally go get an ID. Show who you are with any form of ID that they believe. They check you out. Okay, you match. They give you an ID. And they're free. You just get one. It's a New York City ID. Done. That can be done. You do it anytime. Saturday, Sunday, during the week, whatever. You show up when you need to, and you go get an ID. Aaron, I think totally correct. It can be done. And no one's complaining in New York City. Why? And this is not a logical issue. You can't fight a logical problem with an emotional answer, and you can't fight an emotional answer, a problem with a logical answer. They don't work. This is an emotional problem. People have that feeling of, here we go again. Aaron is correct. It's got to be free or cheap, and it's got to feel like it's not about because of your race or because you're poor. It's got to feel right, right? How do we double check the vote is electronically altered after it leaves the local polling area? It's a great point. You know, you probably have to have a backup that's some type of hand or physical backup. I think you'll have to. You may have to go to paper ballots. It may be the case. You may have to actually the physical. When I was in the Marine Corps, I voted via mail. I was overseas for many years, and I voted via mail. I've told the story before. I still remember it was a San Francisco APO, Air Post Office, that I mailed my ballot to. And I always thought it was weird because I lived in New York City, right? I didn't live in New York City at the time. I'm sorry. I lived on Long Island. My last residence was on Long Island, and I wasn't sending it to the Long Island, whatever that was, the area. I was sending it to San Francisco. But that's where I voted. So it can be done. Is it challenging? Yes. And so what? So what? It's challenging. I agree. We can do it. 100%. Let's do it. I think it has to be verified in some way. I like that, right? Exit polling could be, sure, whatever. Hard copies, I'm okay with that. Whatever the case may be, right? Fingerprint online, yeah, I'm fine with any of those things. Or something as simple as when I was in the Marine Corps and I dealt with some very sensitive material, sensitive things. I was in intelligence for a short period of time in the Marine Corps. And when I was in Marine Corps intelligence, they taught us something, and that was what's called two-person integrity. And that means no one can go any place by themselves. Always at least two people, no matter what, carrying anything, any document, any equipment that may be sensitive, anything, two people, no matter what. You may never go one person. When it comes to this kind of material, even to the bathroom, no matter what, two-person integrity. That's what it was called. We can have something similar to that, right? We can have a similar idea where it's, two organizations or two private organizations like a KPMG and a local accounting firm. I'm making this up, right? But any of these types of things could work. I think it can be done. It doesn't have to. There are answers, is all I'm saying. All right. If I can go to the idea of high-speed internet and rural areas in America. Traditionally, the government has always been the one who tries to support the rural areas. That has been traditional. And it has been good and it has been bad. Recently, the answers have been, and you've seen this if you live in any of these areas, let's basically get some company, have them buy a monopoly on an area so that they'll come in. They'll come in because we buy the monopoly, right? So Verizon comes into your area because they bought the monopoly. And then Comcast comes in the other area because they bought the monopoly. So now everyone begins to buy monopolies. That was the answer, right? That clearly failed. There were many reasons why it failed. Monopolies suck in general, sort of cartels. Why have good service when you're the monopoly, right? What they didn't see coming was cellular service being so good and satellite. Those two things came in. When those two things came in, all of a sudden that monopoly wasn't so valuable anymore. The government was like, "Well, do your thing," and they were like, I don't have a monopoly anymore. I don't want to, but we already did the deal." And they're like, "Yeah, but the deal sucks. I don't like it anymore." Everyone began to fight. Here's the answer. Break up the cartels and monopolies. Government should not be involved in deciding what company goes into what county or what region. Not required. Does not have to decide that. But here's what it can do. Here's what government can do to help. In the past, many times you heard me talk about this. I talk often about the idea of having corporations sponsor infrastructure. Well, guess what? Cell phone towers are infrastructure. Yeah. High-speed cables, infrastructure. Of course it is. Satellite dishes, infrastructure. They're all infrastructure. Cell towers, whatever. They're all infrastructure. So why do we have to have only one type of cell phone tower? Why can't we have more than one? Tons of them. And why can't people sponsor them? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with all of a sudden sponsoring, as an example, if you could sponsor a road, and we've done it already, the Adopt the Highway programs, right, where some company now cleans the road for, X amount of miles, and they get their name, highway adopted by, the local eatery or by some big company, McDonald's, whatever. Okay. Why not do the same for that kind of infrastructure, right? So maybe, for the sake of argument, the lines are underground, so you can't see them. So how do you have a sign when you can't see the wires? That's tough. I can't see the wires. How do I How do I create that? Or the towers are behind trees or whatever they are, wherever you can't see them, not easy to see. Okay, no worries. How about instead you have it on the bill? You have it on the equipment, whatever. So if Verizon wants to use lines that are put in by ExxonMobil, when Verizon has a phone in that area, it has to have an ExxonMobil logo on it. We could easily find ways to do this. It isn't that hard. You could just talk about it. You could put a sign. This area's, cell towers built with the help of ExxonMobil or whatever company. I don't care what the company is. They're probably people get mad about that. So what? I don't care. You can get mad at the company because you don't like 3M or McDonald's or ExxonMobil, or you could have crappy internet service. I think I'd rather be mad at the Exxon company and have good internet service, right? I'd rather have that. Or electricity, or better roads, right? All those things. You guys have heard me talk about the roads all the time, and I'll keep talking about them. Some of these rural roads are a disaster. Some of them are terrible. Waiting for federal money to come, which is not going to come anymore. Ready for, whatever state money to come, which is not going to come anymore. So how about instead? How about instead of that, you say, you know what? The potholes can be fixed by Domino's Pizza, who's already fixing potholes. They're fixing potholes. You know what? Don't put a Domino's logo on the pothole. Fix the road, and you lease naming rights for the entire road. This 6-mile stretch of road brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Insert thing here, and the only type of ads for food on that part of the road can only be Domino's Pizza ads, and that's it. Done. You solved your problem. Every 6 miles, every 10 miles, 6 miles of every other cell phone tower, every other satellite dish, every other insert thing here. Right now, what you're going to see, particularly after COVID-19, is people are going to try to find ways to start commerce again. Remember, this is not a lack of money issue. This is a lack of commerce issue. And what gets commerce? Marketing and branding and people buying and people selling. That's commerce. So we need infrastructure. We're not going to have a tax base. 30 million people aren't working. Where's your tax base? That's gone. Tax base is gone, guys. How are we going to fix this? I got an idea. Companies want to grow again. They want to hire again. How about they fix our infrastructure? Not crazy. Bernie people, you want to support the rural areas? You can do it. Let the companies that are trying to market fix these areas, and they get their signs everywhere. They can talk about it. They can make videos about how much they care about rural local communities and put them on YouTube, which is what they'll do. And you might go, but that's the wrong reason. It's bad because they just want money. So what? Have better roads, have better internet connection, have whatever, right? It's in their best interest to have a good road because their name's on it. It's in the best interest to fix it quickly because their name's on it. And they're going to take advantage of it, taking pictures of it, showing people how much they care. Love it. Let it keep going. Fix the roads, fix the infrastructure, get better infrastructure. Again, no extra taxpayer money, and even better, no worries about things collapsing or crashing, because if they do, they have to pay for it. They have to pay for it. Now, what happens if, Wendy's does it and Wendy's decides we don't like it anymore, we go to business? Great, give it to McDonald's. But what happens if the government runs out of money, which it is running out of money? Nothing gets fixed. I know I hear it all the time, but they have to fix it. No, they don't. No, they don't. When there's no money, it won't get fixed. That's how it works. When there's no money, it won't get fixed. Instead, big businesses are still trying to grow. Of course they are. They always want to grow. That's their goal. Great. Here's a way to grow, to get commerce moving, to hire people. Someone's got to build the road. That's jobs. Someone's got to maintain the road. That's jobs. Someone's got to build the cell phone tower. That's jobs. Someone's got to maintain the cell phone tower. That's jobs. Someone's got to dig up the ground and put the cables in. That's jobs. Someone's got to feed those people. That's jobs. Someone's got to take those people back and forth. Jobs. Boom, boom. Commerce, commerce, commerce. We can do it. It is not, I got to say this again, it's not about government throwing money at us. This is not a money problem. It is a commerce problem. The government should not be throwing money at us. It should be spurring commerce. That makes sense. That gets the money multiplier. That builds our economy back up again. That's the goal. So I got to tell you, if you are talking about high-speed internet and rural America, just throwing up, for those of you who care, if you've been paying attention, I went to the Bernie website, the Bernie Center's website, went to Bernie on the issues, went down the list, and I've been knocking out every one of them to the best of my ability right here live. I'm looking at it on my computer now, and I'm going down each one of them and knocking them out live to the best of my ability. I'm trying my best to give you something. But if you look at it as a libertarian, you go there and look at it, what you're going to find again and again and again is only two things. Give it more money, pass a law. That's it. There's nothing else there. There is lists and lists of ideas and comments and everything and on concepts of worries and issues and concerns. And the answer to every one of them, and I mean every one of them, force, throw money at it. That is the socialist answer for all these things. I'm going out of my way to show you to the best of my ability. And this is off the cuff, guys. It's off the cuff. So I probably made some errors here or there. Correct me. Some of you give me good ideas as we're talking, right? To actually make sure that we can get these things, what they want. I want them too. Everything that's on the Bernie site, the end game, I want too. I want fairness. I want these. I want people to have good, fair taxes. I want all of these things. I do. If you're a Bernie supporter, one, Bernie lost. Two, Democratic Party screwed him twice in a row. The Democrats are not going to give you what you want if you're a Bernie supporter. Please accept that as true. You're not going to get what you want from Democratic Party if you are a Bernie supporter. You can see that. They've screwed you over twice. Not just that. Even if they wanted to kind of do what you want to do, the only answers you're going to have, if you look at his site, is more money and or more laws. Republicans aren't going to give you any laws. And there's not any more money. COVID-19 has made sure there's no more money. So now if you follow the Bernie plan, you can't get what you want. It is now physically impossible. It's not going to happen. Impossible. Not going to happen. Trump is not going to give you what you want. If he would have, you'd be voting for him. The Libertarian Party can. It can give you what you're looking for. Not perfect, but real close, without any extra money and without any extra laws. We can do it. Stay with us. Give us a shot. Listen in. Watch. And you will see this year, 2020, you vote the right way. You start putting libertarians in the offices. You will see you can get what you want. You may have to work for it a bit. No worries. We'll get out of your way. We will get out of your way and let you build that utopia you want without any force. We'll let you do that. 100%. That's what we'll do. And we'll set up an environment where people want to help you. Even better, we can do both. Absolutely. So I hope you see that this really does matter. And for you guys who have been watching, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for liking and commenting and sharing. This stuff really does matter. I have to keep telling you, we have to grow. We have to grow. And to do that, you got to go on Facebook. You got to like the Sharpe Way page. Not my Larry Sharpe page, the Sharpe Way page. You got to subscribe to my Sharpe Way YouTube page. You got to follow me on Twitter at the Sharpe Way. Go to that one, the Sharpe Way one. It matters. It's got to grow. Help me out, guys, and grow. If you are in a position where you can give money, where you're in a good financial situation, head on over to patreon.com/SharpeWay. Throw me 10, 20, 30, 40 bucks, whatever you got. Throw what you can. If you don't have it, either you're in a bad spot or you might lose your job or you've lost your job, you laid off. I got it. A lot of us are there. Like, comment, share is free. Following my Twitter, my social media, free. Go do that. It really does matter. All right. So yes, thank you for liking the Twitter stream. I appreciate that. I appreciate that completely. It's really important. So I hope I covered a bunch. I covered MSIs, racial justice, taxes, free and fair elections, high-speed internet, and rural America. I covered those. I may do one more next week, which should wrap it up, and I will have gotten all of the burning issues knocked out in just a month. We can do this, guys. For us to grow as a movement, I don't want to fight the right. I don't want to fight the left. All I want is to bring them all to us. We can convert them all. We can get what we want. All right, guys. Thank you for tonight. I appreciate it. I will talk to you all tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow. Excellent. I'll be on tomorrow, 7 p.m. with Andrew Heaton. We'll be hopefully making something funny, I hope. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.